Hey friends, here's an easy peasy pasta salad recipe. Wow, say that 5 times and don't mess it up. I first had this pasta salad at the Super Salad restaurant. It's all you can eat. I don't know if you have it in your area, but this was my most favorite thing on the menu. And of course, there's recipes online to replicate it. It is so good, it is so simple, and practically everybody will love it. You get 8 ounces of fettuccine, cook it. Now when you're boiling your pasta, here's a clue, an FYI for your Friday. Pre-salt your water. Once your waters come to a rolling boil, which by the way, you need a nice big pot because pasta loves to roll around in the water so it can cook evenly. You would put about a tablespoon of salt in there. Don't freak out. Most of the salt's going to go down the drain, but you need the water to taste like the sea, briny, so some of it will permeate your pasta. You cannot salt pasta once it's done. It doesn't work. The salt just lays on the top and everything just tastes salty. It does not taste like pasta. And don't overcook your pasta. By the way, when you boil your pasta, I want you to boil a minute or 2 less than the recommended amount. And there's a reason for that. Because once you start putting sauce on the pasta and it sits in there overnight in your refrigerator, it starts to absorb that sauce and it could get gummy. We don't want that. We want our pasta to be al dente, and that means to the tooth. We want a little bit of give to it. We don't want it to be mushy, right? A little bit of give, nice little bit of stretch to it. See? All right. By the way, I'm using fettuccine, which means little ribbons in Italian. And as you look at it, you'll see why it's called that. It's little ribbons. So let's get a little more in there. We're gonna do about 8 ounces of cooked pasta. All right, set this bowl aside, or you can pre-mix your sauce before you put in your pasta and then mix it together. That might be even easier. If you've chosen to mix your sauce after you put in your 8 ounces of pasta, oh, by the way, cool that pasta to room temperature. Do not do this while it's hot. Okay, having said that, let's mix up our sauce. To 8 ounces of pasta, we want a 1/2 cup of mayonnaise, not Miracle Whip, mayonnaise. Your favorite kind, doesn't matter, just 1/2 cup of it. Half a cup of corn. I do not recommend canned corn. If you don't have fresh, which you would parboil for 5 minutes before using, you could use frozen. Frozen's very easy. Just open a bag of frozen corn. If you want to char it a little bit in the pan, meaning to get little dark spots on there because it brings out flavor, you could do that too, but you don't have to. Just a 1/2 can of corn. Easy, right? Told you it was easy. And a 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. Now, fresh is best, right? We love fresh, but if you don't have fresh, you can use the jarred Parmesan. So, 1/4 cup. Little secret, I like more Parmesan, I put more in mine, but you don't have to. Try it first at a 1/4 cup, and if you want more, put in more. And of course, the recipe online doesn't call for some chili flakes, but I just happen to like just a little bit of heat. I'm just gonna put a little bit. A sprinky dink. How much is a sprinky dink? As much as I want it to be. All right, it's not a lot. Maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. You put in how much you like. We also need garlic powder. And that is only gonna be 1/2 a teaspoon. I'm gonna measure my garlic, not over my bowl because I wouldn't want to pour too much in there. I'll just measure it over my dirty measuring cup. And I'm gonna get it leveled off. A level 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder, not salt, powder. And ground pepper. If you have fresh, what is it? What do we say? Fresh is best, right? But if you don't, just use your regular black pepper from your shaker. I like to grind it fresh. Why? Because it's more flavor. Fresh is best. And that's about a teaspoon. You taste it. You see, put in half a teaspoon first. If you want more, put in more. It all comes down to personal preference. I'm not going to put my salt in yet because I want to taste it. Parmesan is a very salty cheese, so let's mix it up. Let's stir it all together and see if we need that. When it says salt to taste on a recipe, that's exactly what it is. You taste it, and if you think it needs more salt because you want it to be just a little bit saltier, you put in more salt. It doesn't give you an exact amount because some people don't like a lot of salt and some people like more salt. So they're leaving it up to you. All right, now we've got our sauce blended. How easy was that? I mean, come on. That only took a matter of a couple minutes, right? We're gonna put it on our pasta and we're gonna stir it up. And then once it's all stirred and combined, you can put it in the refrigerator overnight and serve it the next day. It is so good. All right, I mean, how easy? You cannot get easier than this recipe unless you went out and bought it. But then what would be the point? You would have to make it yourself, right? So here we go. Tongs are much easier to toss pasta with as opposed to the rubber spatula. So I just use my tongs and just start tossing it around. Oh my goodness, this looks delicious. And you know, a good cook always tastes their food as they go along. Because you don't want any surprises when you're serving it and you're like, oh, I wish I put more salt in there, or more pepper, or oh, I put in too much, or oh, that's too hot. So you want to taste as you go along, and you get it the way that you like it. So you just keep tossing this up. And I am telling you, this is good stuff. There you go. You got it nice and mixed. By morning, this will be even better because those flavors will have been allowed to just blend together and, oh man, create such a yummy dish. Okay, I want to taste my finished product to make sure I don't need to adjust the salt. I haven't even put in salt or anything else. So let's take a little taste first. Baker's or cooker's prerogative, right? I'm just gonna taste it and see. Whoop. Kind of swirl it around your fork. And taste that. It's really good, but I'm gonna put in a good pinch of salt. I feel it needs just a touch more salt. I'm using kosher salt, not table salt. If you're using table salt, just the stuff you have in your salt shaker, only use half a pinch if you can, a smaller pinch. Kosher salt has bigger grains and it is double the size of your table salt. That's why you can put in more and yet it still not be too salty. You always want to add in half that amount of just when you're using regular salt, your regular table salt. All right, and I feel I've got enough black pepper in there, I can taste it. All right. Let's get some out. Put it on our plate. I like to take a scoop and then just start to twist it. Twist it into like a haystack. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Nice little haystack. Get some of this corn on there so you can see it. And there's your pasta salad. You do not have to put hot peppers in it. All right, you try this and you see how people like this. Bring this to your next potluck.